Tonight, Blazers star Damian Lillard marches hand in hand with thousands in Portland as the city continues to speak out for justice and change following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. It is 10 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Giannolo.
And I'm Jennifer Hoff. And while Lillard and many others have since left that area, hundreds of people are still in downtown. Our Jennifer Dowling is there live covering this sixth night of protests. What do you see out there, Jen?
Well, there are still at least 1,000 people here in Waterfront Park gathered for peaceful protests and speeches. There are speakers ongoing right now. This has been happening with this group since around 6 o'clock. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see what's happening. They started out at 13th and Stark, Southeast Portland, near Revolution Hall. That's where a lot of the marches have been taking place this week. And they marched peacefully from Southeast over the Morrison Bridge, where they stopped and chanted Black Lives Matter and did some additional speeches before making their way here to the bowl near the Hawthorne Bridge at Waterfront Park. So people continue to gather here and listen to those protesters and some of the speeches going on. Meanwhile, people are trickling out down to the Justice Center. But as I said, these folks have remained peaceful. We talked to some of them earlier in the day, including a family that was handing out refreshments to people who were walking right over the Morrison Bridge. Take a listen to what they had to say.
We've been walking the last 7 days, and we thought we'd take a little break, but still wanted to be part of it as much as possible.
We're feeding people because you can't fight the police on an empty stomach.
I've never seen such a massive amount of people in one place under the same ideal. You know, it's. I mean, yesterday I think might have been the biggest number. It must have been like 8, 10, 12,000. I can't keep up when it gets to that big of a number. But I know that when we took up the entire bridge yesterday, I still couldn't see any piece of the road going down when I was on top of the truck. So, I mean, it's a very impressive number of people, to be sure.
And police say the crowd sizes are actually gradually getting smaller, but they're still pretty big. They were looking at crowds at the beginning of the protest, starting at around 15,000. The night before last, police estimated that the peaceful crowd of protesters in the square was at around 10,000 people. And they also said that perhaps as many as 8,000 people were out last night. And while the majority of the people have been peaceful, they say there have been some people that have been destructive and for both property and perhaps throwing projectiles and endangering people's safety. So police are keeping an eye on those folks. We just saw a tweet from police at the Justice Center that said that protesters down there were starting to engage in some criminal activity, is how they put it in their tweet. We're not sure what that means. We didn't see anything happening when we walked by there before we came down here to this peaceful protest on the waterfront. So we're going to go check that out in a little bit. Also of note today, Portland police said that a security officer happened to find a Molotov cocktail that had been hidden in a downtown area. And they were investigating that. It started out as a suspicious object, and they looked into it, and they felt it was a Molotov cocktail. So that is something they're looking into. So they're taking safety seriously. They have fenced off parking garage that they didn't have fenced off last night. That is new. You can hear the crowd chanting here. They're going to continue probably to protest here. Portland police have asked the peaceful protesters to stay put because of what they said was, quote, criminal activity with the crowd at the Justice Center. So we're going to go check that out, and we'll have an update for you coming up in just about half an hour. Jeff, Jennifer, back to you.
All right, Jennifer Dowling will be checking back with her.